So we may be in the grip of a recession, but apparently London's property market is experiencing a bit of a revival. New figures out today suggest that prices are recovering after the dramatic slump of the last year. But, and there always is a but, isn't there? The experts are warning the threat to treat this news with caution.
Yeah, what they seem to agree is that asking prices are rising again and more buyers are emerging onto the market again to get their hands on those cheap mortgages. But it doesn't mean that all of our troubles are behind us, as Glenn Goodman explains.
When you first hear the January house price figures from Rightmove, you may get a bit of a shock. They rose slightly last month, and over the past year as a whole, they're only down 3.5% in London. But Rightmove only look at initial asking prices. They don't take into account the savage cuts that sellers have been making to their asking prices when they don't manage to sell. What's perhaps more interesting is what Rightmove have observed on the buyer's side.
We've actually seen inquiries to estate agents up by 108% on this time last year. So there's a lot more activity, a lot more people looking, but what they need to see is obviously competitively priced properties so that they follow up that interest. And obviously the big problem is they need the finance, they need to be able to get a mortgage as well.
But at the top end of the market, there are signs that cash-rich buyers are turning those buyer inquiries into sales. Here in Holland Park, the chief executive of Marsh and Parsons is in an upbeat mood.
Well, this is an interesting one. It's a first floor, one bed flat overlooking a stunning garden square in Holland Park. It finished in October last year, quite frankly, not selling at £450,000.
How long had it been on the market?
About 7 months, nearly 8 months.
And did it start at £450,000?
No, it started at £595,000.
So they brought it all the way down to $450,000 and it still wasn't
selling.
So what's the story with it now?
It came on 2 weeks ago. We had 35 people around it in 10 days, 3 asking price offers.
So in October you couldn't sell it at $450,000 and now there are people fighting over it at around $500,000.
Yes.
So you think now's the time for people to buy then?
I do. Yeah, I really do. Especially in central London also. We've seen a lot of foreign money in, not just from Europe, from America, from the Far East, from the Middle East. An enormous amount of foreign money coming into London because they see it as a safe investment, having dropped quite so much.
So, is this the dawn of a brighter tomorrow? Have we seen an end to the price declines and perhaps even the beginnings of a new boom? Or not?
Actually, everything we know about banking crises suggests that house prices go down for, on average, 6 years. Recent study that's just come out shows that. We also know that the last time house prices went down in the UK, they fell for 6 years. So to be looking for a recovery after only really 1 year or so is very optimistic indeed.
But Peter Rowlings thinks this is not your typical crash, that prices have fallen hard and fast, and so could recover sooner than history suggests. That's the problem with history. It never plays out in quite the same way twice. It's always full of little surprises. Glenn Goodman, London Tonight, Holland Park.
Well, our good friend and expert Kirstie Allsop is with us now to put her expert eye upon this matter. You talk to estate agents a lot and people right across the property world, as it were. Is that what you're beginning to pick up on?
What we're seeing is a much higher level of transactions. That's been part of the problem. Prices come up, they go down. For some people it's a good thing, for some people it's a bad thing. But for all of us it's a bad thing if the level of transactions drops. And estate agents have seen a very busy January. The other thing that we've got to bear in mind is you don't hear phrases like, you know, London, Paris, Berlin. You hear London, Paris, Tokyo, London, Paris, New York. There are probably only 5 cities in the world where everyone aspires to own a property. And London is one of them. So unemployment may be high in the rest of the country, there may be problems in the rest of the country, but here there are people coming with a strong euro, with a strong dollar, and they do want to buy property in the capital.
So is it safe for people now to think that we have come through the other side of this?
I think, Alex, there are 2 types of buyers. There are people who are looking for a home for their family for the long run, and there are people who are looking for investment properties. Now, the big money, anyone with cash at the moment, they are going out and they are buying great blocks of flats, for example, which have plummeted in value. But they're canny investors and they reckon it's worth the risk. If you're looking for a home and you're looking in the long term, and it doesn't matter particularly whether there's a bit of a dip, that's fine. If you're looking to invest Wait a little, watch a little, but don't leave it too late.
And final quick thought for the rest of us in the ordinary world, as it were. Still a danger then of asking too much if you're trying to sell, or trying to get it too cheap if you're buying?
It is not the time to be greedy if you're a